I never thought I'd find myself here, but life has a funny way of throwing punches when you least expect them. My wife Emily and I had been together for about 8 years. We met in college, got married young, and for a long time I thought we were solid. Sure, we had our arguments, but nothing that seemed insurmountable. She was the kind of woman who could charm her way out of any situation. Funny, sharp-tongued, a little bitchy at times, but I loved her. Or at least I thought I did. Lately, though, I'd noticed small things. She was more distant, often busy when I called or texted her during the day. She'd come home late, smelling like a different perfume, always with a quick excuse about a friend or work. I brushed it off at first, thinking maybe I was overreacting or just paranoid. But then her attitude started to shift, less affectionate, more dismissive of my feelings. She'd roll her eyes when I tried to talk about our future, and that attitude, that provocation, was unlike her. One day, I caught her in a lie about her schedule. She said she was working late, but I saw her car at a yoga studio I didn't even know she'd signed up for. I figured it was just her trying something new, maybe for stress or health reasons. But then I overheard her talking on the phone with her best friend Lisa, mentioning how hot her instructor was and how she was having a secret affair with him. I thought I was hearing things, so I didn't say anything right then. Still, the seed of doubt was planted deep. A few days later, I noticed her phone was left unlocked on the kitchen counter. I wouldn't normally invade her privacy, but curiosity got the better of me. I picked it up and started scrolling. That's when I saw the texts, flirty messages, suggestive photos, and calls to the instructor, a guy named Jake. It was more than just a casual affair. She was outright cheating on me with him during private yoga sessions, and she'd been lying through her teeth about everything. I couldn't believe it. I'd always trusted her, and now I was staring at proof that she'd been sneaking around behind my back for months. The photos she sent him were explicit. She looked happy, uninhibited, confident. In one, she was in a yoga pose, but the way she looked at the camera, I could see the lust in her eyes. It made me feel sick. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and so damn angry I could hardly breathe. The worst part, she'd lied so convincingly, called me paranoid or jealous every time I brought up her odd behavior. Now I had concrete evidence, and nothing could spin that into something fake or misinterpreted. I wanted to confront her immediately, but I also knew I needed to plan my words carefully. I didn't want her to deny it outright or gaslight me. I needed to see her face when she realized I knew the truth. I wanted her to understand the damage she'd done, not just to me but to us. I never thought she'd be capable of cheating, especially not with someone like Jake, who seemed so confident and self-assured. But there it was. She was unfaithful, and I was left reeling from that realization. She came home that evening, acting normal, as if nothing had happened. I watched her from across the room, the little smirk she gave, the quick glance around to check if anyone was watching her. It was all too much. I knew I had to say something, but I felt frozen, unsure how to start. How do you tell the person you trusted most that she's been lying to your face and cheating on you? That she's been having sex with her yoga instructor during private sessions? All I could do was stare, feeling my stomach churn, wondering how it all got so out of control. That night, I lay awake for hours, turning over everything I'd uncovered. My mind kept circling back to her texts and photos, the way she looked in those pictures, so carefree, so uninhibited. The betrayal was a sharp dagger to my chest, and I kept asking myself how I missed the signs, how I could have been so blind. Emily had always been the type to lie convincingly, to spin stories with that bitchy little grin that she thought disarmed everyone. She could talk her way out of anything, but this was different. This was real, raw, and unforgivable. By morning, I knew I had to confront her. No more hiding or pretending everything was fine. I couldn't just sweep this under the rug and pretend she'd fix herself. I decided I'd wait until she came home from her yoga class, but I wasn't going to let her get away with bullshitting her way out again. I'd prepared myself to hear whatever lies she'd come up with, knowing she'd try to deny everything or twist it around on me. When she finally walked in, she was her usual bitchy self, immediately dismissive of my quiet mood. "What's wrong, honey? You look like you've seen a ghost," she said, smirking. I looked at her, knowing that if I didn't say anything now, I'd explode later. So I took a deep breath, bolstered by my anger and pain. Emily, I started, voice steady but trembling with emotion, I know about Jake. I saw the texts, the photos, you cheating on me. During your private yoga sessions, huh? I never thought you'd be the kind of woman to do something this fucking low, but here we are. Her face initially froze, a flicker of surprise, then that familiar smirk crept back onto her face. She was trying to play it cool, as if she hadn't just been caught red-handed. "Oh, come on, Tom," she said, rolling her eyes, her tone dismissive. "You're crazy. You've always been paranoid. Maybe you're jealous or insecure. Maybe that's why you're making up stories about me." She crossed her arms and leaned back against the counter, her attitude so dismissive it made my blood boil. I could see her trying to turn it around to make me feel like I was the one losing my mind. "No, Emily," I shot back, voice getting louder. "I saw the messages. I saw the photos. I know you've been lying to me for months. You think I'm stupid. You think I don't see how you've been playing me for a fool. You've been screwing Jake behind my back, right? During those goddamn private sessions. Tell me I'm wrong." She blinked for a second, caught off guard. Then she scoffed and shifted her tone into that bitchy, condescending manner she always used when she wanted to dismiss something serious. "Look, Tom, you're overreacting. I was just venting about some guy from my class. It's no big deal. We're not even having sex, for God's sake. It's just fun. You wouldn't understand. You're so insecure." I clenched my fists, feeling my whole body tense up. I couldn't believe how she was spinning it, how she was still trying to deny everything. Her words grated on me like nails on a chalkboard, and I could see her trying to keep up the act like she was the victim. I felt a wave of fury rise inside me, mixed with heartbreak and disgust. "Fun," I echoed, voice shaking with rage. "You think cheating on me, lying to my face and sending explicit photos to that asshole Jake is fun? You're a fucking bitch, Emily. How could you do that to us, to me?" Her eyes flashed with anger now, and she snapped back. "Don't call me that. I don't owe you anything. I'm not some perfect wife, Tom. Maybe I'm just tired of your shit. Maybe I wanted some excitement. What's wrong with that? I didn't mean to hurt you, but you're so damn controlling it's suffocating." That last line hit me like a punch in the gut. She was already trying to justify her betrayal, turning it into some kind of rebellious act because she was tired of me. It was classic Emily, bitchy, manipulative, and willing to lie her way out of anything. I knew in that moment that this was the start of a long, painful process. She was going to fight, deny, and twist everything, but I had the evidence now. I had to decide what I was going to do with it. The shock was slowly turning into a cold, hard resolve. I couldn't stay with her, not after this. But at the same time, I felt so broken, so betrayed that I didn't know how to even begin to pick up the pieces. How do you recover from a betrayal like this? How do you even look at someone who's lied and cheated with no remorse? I knew one thing. I wouldn't let her walk all over me anymore. This was the end of the line. After that confrontation, everything changed. I couldn't look at Emily the same way anymore. Her words, her smirk, her dismissive attitude, they all just confirmed what I'd already suspected deep down. She didn't care about us, about me, about the vows we took. It was like I was talking to a stranger, someone I no longer recognized. The rage simmered beneath the surface, but beneath that, there was a gnawing sadness I couldn't shake. How did it come to this? How did I go from thinking we were solid to feeling like I'd been played for a fool? I didn't sleep that night, not really. I kept going over everything, trying to figure out what to do next. I felt numb, yet furious, like I was trapped in this terrible dream I couldn't wake up from. I knew I had to do something, confront her again or get proof, or maybe just figure out how I'd get out of this mess. But honestly, I was just overwhelmed. The next morning, I decided I needed a plan. I couldn't have her continue to deny everything, and I definitely couldn't let her keep lying to my face. I started by gathering all the evidence I could find, screenshots of the texts, copies of the photos. I wanted undeniable proof, something I could hold in my hand or show her face to face that she couldn't spin her way out of. I also decided I'd talk to Lisa, her so-called best friend, because if Emily was lying, Lisa might know the truth or at least confirm what I suspected. I set up a meeting with Lisa later that day, pretending I just wanted to talk about Emily's sudden distance and the weird vibe I'd been getting from her. Lisa was cautious at first, but I played it off like I was genuinely concerned about Emily. Then I casually brought up Jake, the instructor, and asked if she knew what was really going on. That's when she hesitated for a second, then finally dropped the bombshell. "Oh, yeah," Lisa said, her tone low and a little guilty. "Emily told me she's been seeing Jake, that it's just some emotional thing, but I think it's more than that. I saw some of their messages. It's definitely more than just talking. She's been cheating on you, Tom." Hearing that made my stomach drop again, but this time it was like a cold wave of validation. All the doubts, the suspicion, it was real. Lisa confirmed Emily's lies, and I felt my hands shake a little. I asked about the photos, the private sessions, everything. Lisa confirmed that Emily was sending him explicit pictures, that they'd been sneaking around for months, including those private yoga sessions I'd never known about. Shit. I had all the pieces now, and I knew I couldn't ignore it anymore. The anger was roaring inside me, but there was also this strange clarity. I couldn't fix what was broken, not with her, not after knowing what I knew. I decided I had to confront her again, but this time I'd do it with the proof in hand. No more lies, no more denial. That evening I came home early from work. I wanted her to see I was serious. I found her in the living room, scrolling through her phone like nothing was wrong. I pulled out my phone, opened the folder of proof I'd compiled, and laid it on the table in front of her. Her face froze when she saw it. Her eyes widened, and for a second she said nothing. Then she scoffed again, trying to brush it off. "What's this? Just some stupid pictures and messages, Tom. You're overreacting. It's not what you think." But I cut her off. "No, Emily," I said coldly. "It's exactly what I think. I know everything. I know about Jake, about the sessions, about how you've been lying to me for months. I'm not stupid. You thought you could get away with it, didn't you?" Her voice rose, full of venom. "You're crazy, Tom. I don't know what kind of fantasy you're living in, but I haven't done anything wrong. You're just jealous, paranoid, insecure. Maybe you're the one with the problem, not me." I looked at her, feeling the rage simmering just beneath the surface. I couldn't believe her audacity, her ability to spin this into some kind of victim story. I knew I had to get out of there, to remove myself from the chaos she was creating. I told her I was done, that I was leaving, and I packed a bag that night. I didn't want to stay and watch her pretend everything was fine, knowing she was still lying, still cheating. In the days that followed, I couldn't focus. My mind kept going over everything: her lies, the betrayal, the fact that I had been so blind. I felt humiliated, furious, heartbroken. How could she do this to me? How could someone I loved and trusted so deeply turn around and stab me in the back like that? It was like I'd lost a part of myself, and I didn't even know how to begin healing. But even with all this pain, I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't going to let her control me anymore. I had to take back my life, rebuild what was broken, and learn from this mess. The trust is shattered, but maybe someday I'll find a way to forgive, not her, but myself, for ever trusting someone so manipulative. I just wish I'd seen the signs sooner. After I moved out, everything hit me like a ton of bricks. The house felt empty without her, but honestly, that silence was almost worse. I'd been in shock before, but now it was just raw, painful reality sinking in. Every memory, every argument, every moment I thought we built together, it all seemed hollow now. I kept replaying the last few months, trying to find where I went wrong, wondering how I missed the signs, how I let her manipulate me for so long. I spent days just numb, unsure whether I was more angry or sad. The betrayal cut deeper than I ever imagined, and I found myself oscillating between wanting to confront her again and wanting to forget her entirely. I knew I had to decide what to do next, whether to fight for the marriage or accept that it was over. Honestly, part of me wanted revenge, to make her feel just a fraction of what I felt, but I also knew that wouldn't fix anything. The damage was done, and I needed clarity. One night I sat down with my brother, Mark. I told him everything, from the first signs I ignored to discovering her texts and photos. He listened quietly, then said something that stuck with me. "You gotta think about whether this is worth fighting for, or if you're just holding on to something that's already dead. Sometimes walking away is the only way to heal." Those words hit me hard. I realized that deep down I'd been clinging to the hope that she'd change, that maybe she'd see what she lost and come back. But she didn't deserve that chance anymore. I started to plan my next move. I contacted a lawyer to understand my rights, especially about the house and any shared assets. I knew I needed a clean break, a fresh start. But I also felt a strange need for some form of justice, something that would make her understand the pain she'd caused. I decided I compile everything, the proof of her affair, to show her that I knew the truth, not to manipulate her but to ensure she couldn't deny it if she tried. Meanwhile, Emily was still trying to reach out. At first I ignored her calls and texts, angry that she'd treat me like some fool she could lie to. But eventually I responded just once, telling her I needed space. She responded with a barrage of messages, blaming me, calling me insecure, saying I was overreacting. Her words sounded so hollow now, so desperate. It was clear she was trying to save the image she'd crafted, but I knew better. The Emily I knew was gone, replaced by this manipulative, selfish version that didn't care about how much she hurt me. As the weeks went by, I started to rebuild my life little by little. I got back into working out, started hanging out with friends more. The pain was still there, but I refused to let it consume me. I found a part of myself I'd forgotten, someone who deserved better, who could move on. Every day was a struggle, but I knew I couldn't let her define me anymore. That betrayal had shattered my trust in her, but it didn't have to shatter my hope for happiness again. I learned a lot through this process. Mainly that sometimes love isn't enough, that people can lie so convincingly, so effortlessly, and you have to be vigilant. I also realized that revenge, while tempting, isn't really the answer. The real victory is in reclaiming your own peace, your dignity. I still carry scars from all this, but I'm slowly healing. It's just hard to accept that someone you loved and trusted so blindly could be capable of such lies. Looking back, I wish I saw the warning signs earlier. I wish I'd paid closer attention to her behavior, to the way she'd zone out or get defensive when I asked questions. Maybe I could have saved myself some pain. But then again, who knows? Life's messy, unpredictable. The important thing now is that I'm moving forward, stronger, wiser, and more cautious about who I let into my life. That's the only way I can truly start to heal from this betrayal. It's been a few months now since I moved out, and honestly, the process of healing has been exhausting but necessary. I won't lie. There are still nights when I lie awake, replaying everything, questioning whether I did the right thing, whether I could have somehow saved the marriage. But deep down, I know the truth. Emily's betrayal wasn't just a mistake. It was a choice she made repeatedly, time and time again. I kept giving her the benefit of the doubt, but her actions proved she didn't really care about us anymore. I've realized that no matter how much I wanted to fix things, some damage is just too deep. The trust is shattered beyond repair, and trying to piece it back together would only mean more pain for me in the long run. So I made the decision to focus on my own recovery, to rebuild my life one step at a time. I started seeing a counselor, not just for the heartbreak, but to figure out how I let myself become so blind to the signs. It's shocking how easily love can cloud your judgment, making you overlook the obvious. One thing I learned from all this is that I need to be more vigilant, more aware of the red flags. I also learned that sometimes walking away is the strongest thing you can do, even if it hurts like hell. I do regret leaving her. I regret trusting her as much as I did. But I also see this as a wake-up call, an opportunity to grow stronger, to learn what I really want in a relationship, and to not settle for less than I deserve. People keep asking me if I'll ever get back together with her or try to reconcile. Honestly, I don't think so. Not after knowing what she did. I've learned that some betrayals cut so deep that forgiveness isn't possible, not right away anyway. Maybe someday, if she truly changed and owned up to everything, I might consider it. But right now, I just want to be alone to figure out who I am without her in my life. I also want to warn others. If you're noticing signs of someone hiding things, being distant, or acting suspiciously, don't ignore it. Trust your gut. Don't brush it off as jealousy or paranoia because it could save you a lot of heartbreak. When I finally saw the evidence, it was like everything clicked into place. I wish I'd confronted her sooner, or maybe I wish I'd been more cautious from the start. But hindsight is 2020, right? Now I'm focused on moving forward. I've started dating again cautiously. It's terrifying putting yourself out there after being betrayed so badly, but I know I can't let my past define me. I have to believe that someday I'll find someone who's worthy of my trust, someone who won't lie and cheat and break my heart. Until then, I'll keep working on myself, trusting that I'm worth more than what she gave away. There's still a long road ahead, but I'm finally beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel. That entire experience, brutal as it was, taught me a lot about love, betrayal, and resilience. I want others to know that it's okay to feel broken and lost. Those feelings are part of healing. But never forget your worth. Never settle for someone who treats you like trash. Because in the end, the only person who truly matters is you. And you deserve honesty, respect, and love, nothing less. Looking back now, I realize that this entire experience was a brutal lesson in boundaries and self-respect. It's funny how life throws these curveballs when you least expect them. I used to believe in the idea of forever, in happy endings, in the fantasy that my wife Emily was the woman I'd marry, grow old with, and trust wholeheartedly. Turns out, trust is something you have to earn every day, and if someone shows you who they really are, believe them. I've come to accept that she chose her path, her lies, her secret sessions with Jake over what we had. When I first found out, I felt shattered, like my world was falling apart. But with time, that devastation turned into a resolve to rebuild myself. I've learned to stand on my own 2 feet again, to value my own happiness and well-being above all else. I won't let her betrayal define me because I am more than that. The most important thing I want anyone reading this to understand is that heartbreak, no matter how profound, is not the end of your story. It's a chapter, one that teaches you about your limits, your strengths, and your worth. You have to be brave enough to face the truth, even when it hurts. And most importantly, you need to remember that you're deserving of honesty and loyalty in a relationship. Never settle for less. Since moving out, I've found a new sense of peace. I go to therapy, reconnect with old friends, and focus on my passions. I've started running again, pushing myself to be stronger physically and emotionally. It's slow, but I can see the light ahead. I know now that I don't need someone to validate me, but having someone honest and kind would be a bonus, something worth waiting for. To anyone in a similar situation, trust your instincts. Pay attention to the red flags. Don't ignore the little things because they often turn into the big things. And if you find out your partner has been lying, cheating, or hiding things from you, don't blame yourself. It's not your fault. The betrayal says more about them than it does about you. Protect yourself, set boundaries, and never let someone treat you as less than you deserve. The pain will fade eventually. It might take time and the scars will remain as reminders, but they also become proof of your strength. I've learned that life is messy, unpredictable, and sometimes cruel, but it's also full of opportunities for growth. I'm finally at a point where I can say I'm healing, I'm moving forward, and I'm rebuilding my life on my own terms. And honestly, that feels pretty damn good.